On September 28, 2006, at approximately 12:35 a.m., police officers arrested Gina Marie Conway at a train station in the Bronx near Sin City and escorted her to the 32nd Precinct. How they knew to find Gina here is a question that is still up for debate, but nonetheless, while in custody, detectives questioned Gina about her involvement in a motel murder in Fort Lee, New Jersey, from 1 a.m. to 4:50 a.m. Gina gave a lengthy and inculpatory statement. According to Gina, the next day after her rendezvous with Golston, the Sin City bouncer, on September 21st, 2006, Florida scammer Jay Plowden called Gina and picked her up to take her shopping at the Paramus Park Mall in New Jersey. At this point, Gina has seen just how rich Jay Plowden really is after a day of Jay splurging on them. Jay and Gina would later make their way to a Holiday Inn. Plowden had the car parked by valet and had his bags taken to his room. While in the room is where Gina claims Plowden showed her a Louis Vuitton duffel, where she estimated that he had at least about 50 racks inside. After hanging out for a bit, Plowden drives Gina back to Manhattan so he could spend a night clubbing with his right-hand man David Taylor and the two Latina thotties. After arriving back in the city, Gina took a cab to the Lincoln Housing Project's basketball courts on 132nd Street between 5th and Madison Avenues to link Max. Apparently, Max was angry with her because he hadn't known where she'd been, and Gina claims, in an effort to make Max jealous, that she told him about Jay and the splurging and the Benz and the hotel, and apparently, this is when Max formed the idea to line Jay up. Now, Gina claims Max came up with the plot, but who knows, feel me? Maybe she came up with the idea of robbing Jay, you feel me? When she was seeing all the money and everything, and she knew she was going to have to explain, you feel me, where she been at. Maybe she came up with the idea like, yo, I was out, I had this lick for you, blah, 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 I was setting up this, you feel me? But, you feel me, it's impossible to know whose idea it initially was, but what is understood is that at first Gina went with a man named Chinchilla to grab some E-pills, then returned to Max around midnight on what is now the 22nd of September, 2006. After popping about 4 E's and drinking some Henny with the crew and watching some games, Kevin Leardom, aka Pooh Sims, eventually pulls up. Gina will later claim in court that Max told her something along the lines of, if she took Pooh to the hotel where Jay Plowden was staying, that he would love her forever. And so the fix was in.
She tried to ride that queen, ride that. She wanted to keep my dick up, ride that
Gina already had the key card to Plowden's room, and since she knew he was going to be out clubbing, it was supposed to just be a simple and quick burglary. Max allegedly called his regular cab driver, Mohamedou Mbenga, to drive her and Pooh to the Holiday Inn, where Plowden and Taylor were staying. A drive that should have been a quick ride took about 2 hours because Gina was too high off ecstasy and Henny to give accurate directions. The time wasted proved to be costly because it gave Mr. Plowden time to return from the club with Miss Giselle Neves. While Giselle was in the shower, Plowden hid all but 1,000 of his cash, wallet, jewelry, and car keys under the plastic liner in the trash can. Giselle Neves would later testify in court that she planned on stealing the keys to Plowden's Mercedes-Benz with the money he was supposed to have stashed in it. Mate Castro, who was in another hotel room with David Ramel Taylor, was waiting for the right time to do the same with his keys to his 2007 BMW 750. Gina Conway and Pooh Sims don't make it to the Holiday Inn until about 4:30 a.m. Pooh allegedly tells the driver to wait for them on the side parking lot, grabs his blick, his gloves, and some duct tape. Shit about to get spooky. When they made it to room 408, where Plowden was staying, the key card didn't work, so Gina called Plowden's phone. Now, even though they heard Plowden's phone ringing and knew he was in the room, the plan was still a go. Conway knocked on the door, and the naked Neves answered and told her Plowden was sleeping. As Neves attempted to close the door, Conway forced it open with her foot. According to Conway, Leardom busted in from behind her, gun in hand, grabbing Neves by the hair and demanding the cash and Plowden's car keys. Now, what's crazy is Jay remained asleep the whole time, unaware that he was the intended victim of 2 separate robbery schemes. Leardom allegedly shoved Neves into the bathroom and instructed Conway to tie her up and gag her. She followed direction, bounding the prostitute/car robber's wrists, mouth, and ankles with duct tape. Conway then woke up Plowden and duct taped his hands and eyes. Plowden told him he had $1,000 under the mattress, and the rest of the cash was downstairs in David Taylor's room. Later put the gun in Plowden's head and told him to call Taylor and have him bring the cash to the room. Now, ain't that some BS, man? You get robbed and you gonna call your mans to, you feel me, blindly walk in the room when you know it's an armed dude in there, you feel me? It's crazy. That's why you gotta watch out for them scammer people, man. They be some funny people. That's why you gotta watch out for them scammers. Now, Ramel Taylor, he was a big dude, about 6'4", and weighed a cool 270. So maybe Jay was thinking, it's better to have my muscle here with me if I'm getting robbed instead of just, you feel me, letting myself be an easy lick. I mean, I guess you gotta admit that Jay was a thinker, man, even under pressure. But that type of thinking proved to ultimately be costly for his mans, because when Ramel entered room 408, he immediately had a gun jammed in his face, and instinctively, he tussled with Pooh for it. And at that point, it went off, fatally wounded Taylor through the mouth. Conway then proceeded to grab Plowden's bag and stuffed it with whatever items she could find, like jewelry, clothes, a cell phone, the laptop Plowden used for his mortgage scams, and an additional $800 out of Taylor's pockets as he lay dead. Latham changed into one of Plowden's jackets before pistol whipping him and telling Neves that he would kill her and her whole family if she said anything to anyone.
Authorities in Bergen County say they've solved the murder at a hotel in Fort Lee. 1 week ago today, police were called to the Holiday Inn on Route 4. A man was shot to death. It's a tale of money laundering, prostitution, and 2 separate robbery plans. That is our top story heading into 5 o'clock. News 12 New Jersey's Sherry Hensley is at the courthouse in Hackensack. Sherry, a lot of people have been arrested in this strange case of robbery and murder.
Della, you cannot make this kind of stuff up. A total of 9 people are under arrest today. Now, this case involves 2 separate groups of people, each with their eye on $30,000. In the end, the first group beat the second group to the punch.
These are 2 Wild Wild West groups that are operating independently, and poor Mr. Taylor suffered at least by something that was obviously completely unnecessary.
Prosecutor John Molinelli calls this case a bit bizarre. Complicated's more like it. It all began the morning of September 22nd at the Fort Lee Holiday Inn. Police are called there after a man is shot to death. The victim, David Taylor from Florida, was staying in room 227. His friend Anthony Plowden is in room 408.
We do know that they carried a lot of cash. They flashed a lot of cash. They did live the high life coming up here to New Jersey.
At the time of the shooting, both Plowden and Taylor each had a prostitute with them, Mike Castro and Giselle Nieves. The women were introduced to them by a third man, Julio Cruz. It's Cruz who hatches a plan, along with his friend Edward Blankino, to rob Plowden and Taylor.
They asked Ms. Nieves and Ms. Castro to, quote, soften them up, as we use the phrase, to make them loose and to let their guard down, which would allow them to be robbed easily.
Meantime, another group of people had the same idea. It began when this woman, Gina Marie Conway, a prostitute who'd been with Plowden, told her boyfriend Charlie Wingate, a.k.a. Max B, a rapper, about the men's money. Then Wingate reaches out to this man, Calvin Leardom.
He and Gina Marie Conway go to the hotel room on that fateful morning of September 22nd, and he is the individual that fires the shot that kills Mr. Taylor.
And after Mr. Taylor was shot, Leardom and Conway took the valuables on him, some $800 along with the Rolex and some other items. They never found the $30,000. That money was hidden in the hotel room, but it was found by the Bergen County prosecutor.
According to Gina's testimony, when she got back to Manhattan, she did not meet up with Max B, but instead her new flame, Teron Golston. Now, this was a huge topic of discussion during the case, because Gina claimed the whole reason she did the robbery was on Max's orders. So why not bring the doggy bag of goods back to him? When Gina arrived to Golston's place in Bloomfield, New Jersey, she gave him some of the clothes and the laptop. This is because Mr. Golston and Mr. Plowden were similar in size, with both men being about 6 feet tall. From there, Gina went to the apartment of murdered Mike Wingate, where she stashed a Louis V duffel and its remaining contents. Charlie Wingate never received any property or cash that had been taken from room 408 the night David Taylor was killed. On the stand, Jay Plowden claimed that he freed himself and attempted to chase Conway and lared him. Gina and Sims would later find out in court that Jay's $30,000 stash had been in the room all along, hidden under the plastic liner in the trash can. A motel employee stated that he saw a partially clothed Plowden behaving suspiciously in the hallway and that Plowden told him to call police. The police arrived to find Allen barricaded in his room with Miss Neves and the corpse of Mr. Taylor. He eventually came out of the room and was detained by Fort Lee police. Now, maybe he was nervous. You feel me? Maybe he was just nervous. You feel me? But I don't understand why you would tell the motel employee to call 911 and then barricade yourself when they get there. But I'm gonna just chalk it up to maybe he was nervous.